everyone, welcome to this watercolor tutorial where we go over the difference between wet on wet and wet on dry with this gingerbread example. Let's get started. All right, so to get started, we are going to do the wet on wet technique, which is when we have a wet surface painted on another wet surface. So my first surface is going to be my water. And the reason why I'm going to put my water down first is because I want there to be some soft blends between my browns that I put down here. When you paint with beginner watercolor paper, you can oftentimes, oops, my thing's a little dirty. When you're using beginner watercolor paper, it can leave your painting a little streaky if you're painting large surfaces. So it's always best just to put down water first when you're using that kind of paper. Yes, it won't be as vibrant and as brown as I may want it to be, but we can just build up layers as well. So I'm going to come in with my nice brown color. I'm going to add a lot of water into it because I want it to be a light brown, and that's how we're able to lighten up the colors. We just add some water to it. It makes it a lot more transparent. So now I can come in and you see what's happening. It's expanding on my sheet. It's exactly what we want. So I'm going to come in and just fill out my gingerbread. And I'll also find too that my colors will just be a lot more consistent. And if you're doing the wet on dry technique, sometimes like one area might be darker than the other area or whatever. This just helps the colors just also be consistent, in my opinion. So I do like to use the wet on wet technique a lot. And I find right now this is just the perfect color. So I'm filling this out, taking my time. There we go. And then I can come in with a little bit more pigment, so less water, and I can just touch around different spots. And see what's happening here? This is still the wet on wet technique. I'm going to get soft blends here between my browns, and that way it just gives it a little bit more depth and dimension so that the painting doesn't just look flat. So I can move it around, just let it spread out. I have a damp brush now, so I'm kind of just controlling where that color is spreading. And there we go. We can even scoop, so you get rid of everything on your brush, so it's just a damp brush, and we can lift some color as well. So I can't come in here now and paint other areas like the mouth or the eyes or whatever because of that wet on wet technique. If I was to paint this red, the red would just go everywhere. So I have to make sure that this gingerbread is 100% dry before I can move on. I'm just going to fix my lines right here though, making sure my lines look nice. So I'm going to grab my dryer and I am going to dry this. Okay, this is now 100% dry and I can come in and layer. Now this technique is called wet on dry technique when we have a dry surface and we paint on top with our wet paint. And you're going to see when I put this color down, there's no bleeding, there's no blending, it's just straight paint. And also, I have gone nice and light with my gingerbread, so that's how I'm able to paint on top. If you go super dark with the gingerbread man, it's going to be hard for you to get a nice red layer on top of that brown. That's the one thing that makes watercolor unique, is usually whatever color you put down under it, it kind of shows through. It's a very transparent medium. All right, so I'm going to come in and just decorate. Just have fun with this. You can make this your own. You don't have to choose the same colors that I'm doing. I'm going to do little... You know what I'm going to do? I usually like to do white icing here, but I think I'm going to do some colors. I'm going to change it up this time. I'm going to paint in some colors. I'm going to do opposites. All right, so to lighten up my red to make it pink, I'm going to come in and just add a lot of water to it. There we go. And I'm going to give my little gingerbread a little bit of blush. some rosy cheeks. And then I have to decide what I want to do with my eye. Maybe I'll just stick with the black. I'm going to come in with the black eye. I'm going to leave a little opening there as if some sun has hit it. I'm going to come in with white. And then I'm going to use some white. So I have this bleed-proof white for the mouth. It's going to come out a little gray, but I like this color. And I'm going to let these two things dry, and then I'm going to come in and add a little something else to it. If you don't have bleed-proof white, you can just use white acrylic or white out. I'm just going to make their little shine there. You don't have to just use this product. Or if you have some white gouache, I'm going to come in and just give my little buttons some shine. A little bit of shine on here. All right. And there we go. This is our fun little gingerbread man. I hope you had fun with the breakdown of the wet on wet and the wet on dry technique. Please like and subscribe and check out my other videos. Happy painting!